Vice President for the Graduate Professional Student Government, also known as GPSG.
This annual joint session is a quintessential part of the University of Iowa's functions. It is a time when we can all come together and support our shared governances and all that we are able to accomplish together.
If you look at your program, you see that we'll start tonight with a call to order in our roll call from both UISG and GPSG, followed by introductions from some of the administrators and departments we have here tonight. University of Iowa President Harrell will give an address, followed by GPSG President Sharma, and with an address closed by President Simpson.
Following the addresses, we will then have pieces of legislation for GPSG and UISG to discuss on and vote. These pieces include Joint Resolution 1, titled Joint Resolution on Voter Engagement and Civic Engagement. This will be followed by Joint Resolution 2, called Joint Resolution on Affordable Housing, and Joint Resolution 3, titled Joint Resolution Supporting Title IX Protections and the Dear Colleague Letter in regards to sexual assault.
And after that, we will adjourn and move on to a reception downstairs for snacks and refreshments. Feel free to find any of our members and discuss the joint resolutions passed with them and what their goals for the year will be.
And with that, I now call this meeting to order at 6:03. We'll start with a roll call from the University of Iowa Student Government.
Senator Alicia.
Here.
Senator Bayer.
Here.
Senator Valero.
Here.
Senator Bowman.
Here.
Senator Boltzmann. Here. Senator Burns. Here. Senator Chandra. Here. Senator Cooper.
Here.
Senator Corey. Here. Senator Advali.
Here.
Senator Felton. Here. Senator Gillespie.
Here.
Senator Gion. Here. Senator Gronsky. Senator Gu. Here. Senator Liu.
Here.
Senator Hyde.
Here.
Senator Henning.
Here.
Senator Henry. Here. Senator Hubbard. Here. Senator Leitner. Here. Senator Lenz. Here. Senator Martinez. Senator Mills. Here. Senator Owens. Here. Senator Peterson. Here. Senator Pokorny. Here. Senator Pendergast. Here. Senator Chi.
Here.
Senator Radcliffe. Here. Senator Reed.
Here.
Senator Roberts. Senator Robinson.
Here.
Senator Ruth. Here. Senator Sanchez. Here. Senator Schindler.
Here.
Senator Schrader. Here. Senator Simon. Here. Senator Smith.
Here.
Senator Solon.
Here.
Senator Tall. Here. Senator Kamaraja. Senator Wu.
Here.
Senator Zhao.
Here.
Senator Vogel.
Please stay here when I call your student government. We're going to start with the Carver College of Medicine Student Government.
Here.
Iowa Student Bar Association.
Here.
Masters of Business Administration Association. College of Pharmacy Student Leadership Council.
Here.
Graduate Student Senate.
Here.
Iowa America Student Dental Association.
Here.
Great. If you all flip over your programs that are in yellow, you'll see the names of many of the people who are here tonight. We will start by having you stand up when we call your name, and please hold the applause until the end. We'll start with President Bruce Harrell, the President of the University of Iowa, Gary Barta, the Athletic Director, Sue Curry, the Interim Executive Vice President and Provost, Lena Hill, the Interim Chief Diversity Officer and Associate Vice President,
Russell Ham, Vice President. Rachel Williams, Secretary. And Thomas Lau, Past President.
And now we'll have the 2017 to 2018 Staff Council of Executive Committee members. We'll start with John Laverty, the President. Michael Hesseltine, the Vice President and President-elect. Aaron Brothers, the Past President. Brenda Van Dee, the Secretary. And Matt Watson, the Budget Officer.
Now for the GPSG leadership. Sharma, over there. Chris Cozzolino. Ruben Wynn. And a poor projection.
And for 2017 to 2018 UISG leadership, we have Jacob Simpson, the President. Lillian Sanchez, the Vice President. Lindsay Rayner, the Cabinet Director. Jeremy Vogel, the Director of Finance. Titus Ho, the Assistant to the President. And Hallie Hagan, the Speaker of the Senate.
And now all the members of GPSG leadership stand. Thank you so much. It's truly a pleasure working with you all. And now we move to President Harrell's address to the University of Iowa.
Excuse me, I see at least 3 deans. I may have missed one, but Alex Grant, Dean of the College of Engineering. Stand up now. Thank you. John, you want to stand up, please? Dean of the College, Graduate College. David Johnson. Sir, oh, I'm sorry. I looked right through you. The College of Business and the College of Dentistry. So, who else am I staring through? I apologize. Sorry. So, thank you. I've had the pleasure in the last few weeks of meeting with both the undergraduate as well as the graduate student government. And I won't repeat those conversations, but I thought they were this evening. But I at least found them quite constructive. I hope you did as well. We spent a fair amount of time in both sessions talking about the long-term economic model. So it seems to be a hot topic, obviously, for us, for you, actually, I think for the state of Iowa. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from your questions. It's not an easy issue, but I think it's an important issue as we think forward. And I'll talk a little bit in a moment about my perspective on these types of issues in general. But I don't think it's just about now. I think it's about the long term. And what's the right long-term economic model for the institution? And we've been around since 1847. I think it's incumbent upon all of us to actually ensure that it's around just as much as long pointed in the future as it has been already. And so that plays a big role in how I think about these various issues. More importantly, the questions I got and the feedback we received, I think is very important. And it forms, I think, at least in my mind, the beginning of the types of relationships I hope that we've got in place today across all of us. You're not only students, you're not only the reason why we're here as an institution. And if that were it, then we could just run through the process on a day-to-day basis in our classrooms and our residence halls. But we actually view you as very important parts of our governance process. And in that context, I think we need to continue reminding ourselves that the more team-oriented, the more collaborative we are, the better off we all are. And in that context, when I joined the institution 2 years ago, I truly felt like we were silent. I felt like we were maybe running through the process of being a shared governance. And some of you have heard this before, but I had several meetings early on with the student government, or graduate students, or next day with the staff council, or the faculty. And I started realizing that I thought at that point in time the unfortunate consequence of that siloed structure was I was the shared, and the shared governance process. I don't think that's right. I think we can do better. I really don't care about what goes on in other Big Ten institutions on this score. I think it's up for us to shape our governance and own our governance process. It may be difficult, it may be exhausting, but we are large, we are complex, and I think the diversity of opinions, perspectives on all sorts of issues warrant us coming together as a group and having those conversations, sharing data. You'll hear me say this probably before and many times going forward. We need to be data-driven. I don't think we can all have our own data. I think we need to come together and agree on the data that we use in some ways. When they then from that, we can have difference of opinions, but at least agree on the data that we're going to use. And I think we're doing that from my perspective, and I think my colleagues' perspective here from if I can speak for the faculty, which I try and should never do, and the staff, which I should even more so never do, but they're here, I think I know them well enough that they'll let me for a few moments speak for them, also as administration. I think we're really having and developing that sort of working relationship. And I think it's very, very important that it continue. And so therefore, no, whatever we can do to promulgate that, keep those open doors going, and even when we get into difficult times. I think we're off to a very good start this year. I think we're in class, doing our research. We're focused on important issues day to day. And I think we're having really good conversations. And we will continue that. I know I can expect that. I think I should also say thank you, because I don't think it's the jobs that you're playing as student leaders are easy. Particularly compounded by the fact that you have a fair amount to do every day just in your classrooms and pursuing your own studies and research, each in your own ways. But those are pretty exhausting. I've been through that, and there were times, many times, when I wasn't sure I was going to get through it. And then on top of it, you have evenings like this. And I know it's not just these evenings. I think during the day. So you're playing, I don't know whether to call it double or triple in terms of the time commitments. You should know we recognize that to the extent any of you. And I think if some of you, in fact, if most of you don't get into time commitments and overload, then you're probably not being honest with yourselves. You should understand we know that. We've all been there, and we're here to help. And it's okay to raise your hand and say, I know we have an appointment here in an hour or tomorrow. We've got your back. So let us know what we can do to help. And even if it takes it in other directions, just time, other than just time commitment. In terms of my perspective, that as I try to bring leadership and some of these issues of how we work better as a team, my perspective that I bring to this conversation is, first of all, that we need to be as transparent as possible. That means you should have unfettered access to all the data that we've got. And you will, and hopefully you've already had that. To the extent you have insights and data and information and issues that would be useful to us, I know I can count on you to share it with us. Part of what goes on in institutions as they get large and complex is that people live in different parts of that community and they develop their own perspectives. And one of the things I've learned over and over again is if we're not coming together regularly and just sharing what we know and what we don't know and what we heard and trying to corroborate whether what we heard is really a fact or fiction. If we're not doing that on a regular basis, then we start pulling ourselves apart. And that is not how great teams get built, and that's not how great teams stay together. So count on us being transparent. When we see issues, we'll let you know. We've got data, and if you need it, let us know, and vice versa. I talked about long-term. I think it's really, really, really important that we have a focus on the short term, because that's where a lot of actions and day-to-day decisions take place. But they also need to be made in the context of what we're trying to get done, and where are we today, and what's doable and what's not. And we're going to go through, I think, in the next few weeks, maybe a couple of months. The state, all the states, by the way, in the United States have been disinvesting for a long period of time in terms of higher public education. I am as frustrated with it as you are. And please know I will do everything I can to help get some degree of certainty on these issues. And so we'll see how this plays out. But I think we also need to fully anticipate we will not get all the resources we need from the state or from tuition. And therefore, we need to prepare ourselves for Plan B, as I often say. I don't think hope is a viable strategy, to be blunt about it. So we need to prepare for what are the consequences that we may not get all the resources we need to support various constituencies on campus. I'm particularly worried about the 23% of the class that we just admitted that are first-generation students. I think first-generation students have got to find it tough to matriculate to our type of size and institution. And we need to put the support mechanisms in place. We have many in place, but we need to do more of that. And I can keep going. So we're going to find, I suspect, ourselves in a place collectively where we're going to not each get our own and fully what we need. So we're going to need to find a way to collaborate and try to make some tough and difficult choices. And I think one of the things that I ran into a few years ago when I joined was that we were, the phrase I used that everybody didn't like, I just don't like it, was spreading the peanut butter. We get a certain amount of peanut butter in terms of resources, and we spread it a little bit thin. And so everybody would get a little bit of it. But the net consequences of that often are that we all, as an institution, suffer. Because we didn't focus on the things that either really needed it, or the places that could really help us excel. I'm not trying to introduce that will be the case, but I think in the spirit of candor and working relationships, we need to start thinking about, in each of us in our own ways, how we'll go through that, how we'll stay together as a team, and how we'll have some tough discussions, because I suspect they're coming. I think, frankly, they've been in the process since about 1992, from anybody cares, as I look at the data. And we're not alone. We're actually better off than a number of other institutions. And we've gotten a little bit of a boost here as people recognized, at least in some recent rankings, that we're constructively dealing with these issues. But the one, so we need to think about making this rigorous, I think, not just in the short term, but also in the long term. Are we leaving the institution better off for the long term? And I'm particularly concerned for you, and I'm paternalistic on this, I apologize, but I really think that we owe you the continuing enhancement of your brand in the marketplace. And that means that we're continuing to work this institution to higher and higher levels of excellence. And that's what it's all about. It's making you excellent and helping you become wonderfully gifted in the areas of your choice of expertise. And also wonderfully gifted because you have a brand or degree or two or three in this great institution. And if we start playing short-term games with that, I think we're going to have all pay a price that's not wise. So with that, let me just once again reiterate how wonderful I think this process is, how important I think this collaboration is, how strongly I really sense that it is working. Not on everything perfectly, but that's the nature of what we're doing. And the more we stay together, the more we talk, the more we have heated discussions, but still keep talking. That's our process. You know, you should know, I hope you all know, we're committed to our end of that bargain. I know you are as well. So let's go have a great year, and thank you for all the great work you're doing. Take care.
Now move to a speech from GPSG President Sharp.
Thank you very much for the introduction. President Harold, his cabinet, faculty, staff, and fellow students. The University of Iowa was founded 170 years ago. Fast forwarding to today, it has accomplished some very remarkable milestones. It was the first American university to offer a law degree to women, the first to admit men and women on equal basis, the first to grant a master's in fine arts in the country, the first to offer a PhD degree in mass communication, and the first university to offer a PhD degree to a female chemical engineering student. As a university, our community has always had a strong foundation which values diversity, equity, and inclusion at its very core. Regardless of our backgrounds, our beliefs, and what we choose to identify as, the Iowa community strives to support each individual as they follow their dreams and aspirations. A number of Iowa grads have gone on to become leaders in their respective field and have also significantly contributed to the society. Their contributions to the advancement of research, teaching, public policy, and so much more continues to impact lives. This is what this university does. It creates students who make a difference not only here in the state, but throughout the world. The graduate and professional student government exists to ensure that these foundational values of inclusion and support are presented to its nearly 10,000 constituents from the 6 colleges. Standing up for every single one of them is not only our obligation, but it is the right thing to do. Although GPSG has outlined a number of goals and initiatives for this year, here's what I would like to share today. Over the past 6 months, proposed changes to federal policies directly affecting students has left many feeling uncertain about their place here at UI. We wanted to reiterate that we will continue advocating for a safer, more inclusive campus, for students to be at their best and to thrive in their classes. They should have an environment that is supportive. We plan to make sure that we continue to advocate for equity and respect. We will continue to promote tools such as implicit bias and NCBI training. We have heard and seen the difference it makes, especially to those of us who become teaching assistants. We encourage our students not only to stand up for themselves, but also to inspire their friends and colleagues to do the same. We will increase outreach to the city, the state, and to Big Ten universities. GPSG should be involved with the city. Graduate and professional students' needs are simply different. Some of them have families, live off campus, and are just at different points in their lives. We want to make sure that they have a direct connection with the City Council and work towards a two-way collaboration to everyone's benefit. We will also continue building on our previous efforts of keeping more graduate and professional students in state after graduation through tax incentives. We're also working towards organizing the first Big Ten graduate and professional student meeting in the spring, sharing our ideas, our thoughts with other universities to be integral to everyone involved. We will also encourage interdisciplinary activities among the 6 colleges. As many of you are aware, we're composed of pharmacy, graduate, dentistry, law, MBA, and medical students. These are minds with great potential. Bringing all of us together and increasing collaboration will be a win-win for everyone. An example is the Trailblazer event taking place on October 21st. We will have speakers from different fields to carry guided workshops for students, journalists, entrepreneurs, dentists, renowned surgeons, and many others. Events such as these encourage students to learn more about other fields, encourage collaboration amongst them, and empower students to work towards the world they want to see. Whether it is safety on campus, outreach, interprofessional initiatives, and so forth, GPSG knows that for us to be able to achieve these goals, we all have to be willing to work together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Sharma. At this time, I would like to introduce President Simpson of the University of Iowa Student Government to come forward and give a state of the students' address.
Thank you, Donna. President Carroll, Cabinet, shared governance leaders, and students, thank you for taking the time out of your busy evenings to be here with us tonight. The University of Iowa Student Government has been working tirelessly to improve the lives of students. In May, we began reaching out to campus partners, learning about our institution, its history, and its direction, building on the progress of generations who have lived, learned, and served at the university. Just last year, UISG established a fee in order to expand mental health services on campus. We initiated the redevelopment of the cultural and resource centers. We created a mural program celebrating art and underrepresented students of Iowa, and we nearly passed a statewide medical amnesty law aimed at protecting all Iowans. This progress was the result of collaborative efforts between campus partners and UISG, and many of those campus partners are in this room today. And they are the ones who, like us, continually commit to embracing who we are and who we can be. I believe this community thrives by promoting positive change, but we face challenges along the way to achieving that change. Nationally, public institutions are being cut by their states they serve. Last year alone, the Iowa General Assembly cut funding for our institution by $15 million. Additionally, every day, our students are impacted by the volatile political climate and the many isms and phobias pervasive in American culture that manifest through implicit and explicit forms of discrimination and prejudice. We rise against these challenges each year as a community by advocating for our university and by asserting our values of inclusion and welcoming every student to their home away from home. While external pressures require a lot of attention, they cannot distract from the challenges we face and the internal challenges we face and the opportunities we have to affect positive change here. This year, we are focusing on 4 key areas. First, access and affordability. The education reformist Horace Mann once said, "Education is the great equalizer." In other words, the ultimate democratization of opportunity. As leaders of a higher education public institution, we have a moral duty to encourage and support students to pursue a college degree at the University of Iowa. As we continue to assess proposals for tuition increases, we must hold ourselves accountable to these principles and realize the impact tuition increases have on all students, especially first-generation, historically marginalized, and underrepresented students. Second, equity and inclusion. Each student brings their own unique identity to our community. Diversity in experiences and knowledge is what enriches our university and makes us strong. It is our responsibility not to only appreciate and acknowledge our own uniqueness, but to honor the uniqueness of others' identities in our everyday work. UISG plans on doing so by expanding the community ID program to the student body, increasing cultural competency training, and advocating for a diversity and inclusion gen ed in all colleges. Third, health and safety. Students are able to thrive personally, academically, and professionally when they are able to live healthily and feel safe and supported. We must continue our work on the anti-violence plan to eliminate sexual assault. We must spread awareness of the active shooter protocol. We must advocate for better locks on off-campus housing. And we must increase access to mental health services, as well as healthy food. Fourth, and finally, retention, and graduation. The University of Iowa offers its students a world-class education. At the same time, students are faced with many barriers to achieving success. Our retention rate sheds some light on these issues. 14% of the 2016 first-year class dropped out before this semester started. That's over 900 students. We must eliminate barriers to student success by increasing academic support in the form of supplemental instruction, reconfiguring classes with higher failure rates, cultivating a culture of mentorship, and investing in retention and emergency grants. We've already made progress in these 4 areas I just listed. Over the summer, we established a Canvas route to serve students on weekend mornings in order to give students safe transportation to campus dining halls, the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics, and other campus facilities. In addition, we have secured staff time to be dedicated to off-campus student support, and we have established a new student leader training incentive program, effectively giving students access to trainings designed to promote the well-being of the student body and the campus climate. This is just the beginning. By working with campus partners and listening to our students, we plan to build on these successes and rise to the challenges facing us, and serve our students to the best of our ability. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Simpson. We so appreciate your words and all that you have done so far for the undergraduate student body.
Before we start discussing the legislation, this is a reminder that we'll be voting together as UISG and GPSG together to signify we're working together as one body.
If you haven't received any of the papers with the resolutions on them, please raise your hand so that we can get you a copy of those so you can read along as we're going. And with that, we'll move into, and with that, we'll move into old business. Seeing as there is no old business, we will now move into new business, starting with Joint Resolution 1 on voter registration and civic engagement. Is there not for president?
So first introduction, I'm Mariah Prendergast.
I'm Levi Kellogg. I'm a medical student and delegate on the GPSG.
I'm a UISG undergraduate. And so I want to start by saying my personal thank you to everybody who's sitting in this room right now. I think this is an exact example of the collaboration and teamwork that has been insisted is necessary throughout the multiple speeches given this evening. And I think that is the exact kind of collaboration and teamwork that sits at the root of the legislation that we're currently looking at. As the title suggests, it is to encourage civic engagement, voter registration, and basically participation of people our age, people in college age, engaging in politics and making sure that we can have a say in decisions that we've talked about tonight already.
Mirroring on that, I'd just like to take a minute to discuss why civic engagement is important in Iowa now more than ever. Partly, I believe that this resolution is important to serve as a counterbalance to certain intricacies within the voting system that can serve as barriers to voting for college students, such as residency requirements and voter ID laws. Additionally, there's a self-serving purpose to improving civic engagement on campus, in that students and administration will have to work with policymakers over the coming years to ensure adequate funding for the state's most valuable resource, the University of Iowa. Additionally, as students, we're transient individuals. I know many of us would consider Iowa City our temporary residence, and we're also finding ourselves distanced from the communities in which we grew up in. I believe that this can lead to a certain amount of apathy and disconnect between students and the political issues that involve the community around us. Finally, I would just like to say that the university, I believe, has an obligation to encourage civic engagement among students in order to fulfill its academic mission. By supporting civic engagement among students and encouraging interactions among students and elected officials, by educating students regarding political issues that are relevant to them. I believe the university will encourage students to think critically and will encourage further motivation for students to provoke change once they leave the university. And I would just finally like to thank the UISG and GPSG leadership for supporting this resolution.
Are there any questions for the authors? Seeing as there are no questions, we will now move into a period of discussion on JR1. Senator Corney.
Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer Corney and I'm the Governmental Relations Committee Chair for the University of Iowa Student Government. I'd like to support this bill because it's been proven that if you register to vote, you're more likely to vote, and once you vote once, you're more likely to vote again. So the work that we do here at the University of Iowa engages students even after they leave the university and long after they leave the University of Iowa.
Luke Flanagan.
So my name is Luke Flanagan. I'm Governmental Relations Co-Chair with GPSG, and I support this resolution because I believe it is incredibly important that students engage, particularly with the community, and address some of these many of these issues, such as affordable housing, transportation, that really have an effect on our students.
Senator Schindler.
Hello everybody, Heath Schindler. I am a member on Jenna's Government Relations Committee. I too understand the importance of civic engagement. I had the opportunity to work on a political campaign my first semester here at the University of Iowa. I know firsthand just how difficult sometimes it can be to explain the importance of any political process to students, no matter what the level of government we're talking about. And also we understand that this has been a long-term problem. People in our population, our age population, we know this has been a problem for a very long time. It's not confined to our generation, but I firmly believe that our generation does have the power and the willingness to start solving this issue. So I plan on supporting this resolution, and I hope my goals are achieved.
Any further points of discussion? Senator Corney? The previous question has been called. Is there a second? Seconded by Manny. We will now go to end discussion on JR1. All those in favor of ending discussion on JR1, please signify your vote by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. We will now move into a period of voting on JR1. All those in favor of JR1, please signify your vote by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it, and Joint Resolution 1 passes.
We will now move on to Joint Resolution 2 on affordable housing. Is there an author present?
Hi everyone, my name is Alexis Sanchez. I'm a senator with the University of Iowa Student Government.
My name is Fisher Harold. I'm a third-year pharmacy student and representing the College of Pharmacy for GPSG.
So we're here to present the resolution for affordable housing, and just like it states, it's a collaboration between the community and also the university on improving the affordability of housing, because it is an issue here on campus.
Yep, and we just feel this issue is directly applicable to both undergraduates and graduates. Looking at percentage of income and how much that costs and how that should affect your daily living, we think that this is both applicable to both parties. In 2006, there was actually an affordable housing committee founded by its members of GPSG, and they looked at affordable graduate student housing in areas surrounding Coralville and Iowa City. They found that vacancy rates of rental properties were drastically lower than what was considered acceptable at around 5%. They were closer to 0.31%. That kind of indicates that property owners can be a little bit more aggressive with how much they want to charge for renting, and we look to see that percentage increase.
Are there any questions for the author? All right, we will now move to a period of discussion on JR2. Ryan Shelley.
Hi, I'm Ryan Shelley. I'm a 2L at the College of Law. I support this resolution because I feel uniquely qualified to speak on this issue. Having gone to undergrad and high school in Iowa City, I have seen the cranes in Iowa City building apartments for years. I saw my rent go up 18% in 2 years living in Coralville. 18%. It has always been a problem here in Iowa City, the most expensive place to live in the entire state. Students have needed affordable housing. This is essential that we come together and address this issue, because if we don't, it's going to continue persisting as it has for decades.
Senator Wood.
Hello, I'm Austin Wood. I'm an at-large senator in UISG, and I'll also be supporting this resolution. Housing costs make the majority of the cost of attendance here for in-state students, and lowering housing costs will be a priority for this city government. This legislation encourages Iowa City, the University of Iowa, and surrounding communities to share in the responsibility of promoting affordable student housing, which will be one of the only ways fair and affordable housing market for students can exist, and to ensure that the University of Iowa will remain an affordable institution for future Iowans.
Senator Valero.
Hi, my name is Akash Bhalarav and I'm a senator with UISG. I'm definitely supporting this piece of legislation because it is incredibly important for students. I myself am privileged enough to be a resident assistant, because of which I get free housing and dining through the university. Otherwise, if I wouldn't have that job, I wouldn't know how to pay for housing. And I definitely understand how it can be like a huge burden on students, and it is.
Senator Peterson.
Hi everyone, my name is Adriana Peterson. I'm currently a resident of Liberty. I would support this piece of legislation because I didn't have the option of looking at an apartment to live in Iowa City, Coralville, or Liberty because of the expenses, and they're not affordable within my community. So I am currently living at my parents' house in North Liberty, and I'm going on something about the cost of attendance, but dealing with how much you receive versus cost of attendance versus scholarships and then grants and all kinds of funds. Just having an affordable place to live is just anyone's keen interest, especially for those that are not living in Iowa City but have to branch out to further Cedar Rapids and West Branch from there for.
Senator Gillespie.
Hello, my name is Hunter Gillespie. I'm an at-large senator in the University of Iowa Student Government, Governmental Relations Committee. I would just like to say that I support this resolution. Last fall, around this time, I had the opportunity to serve on the Housing Affordability Task Force as just a general student member, similar to the GPSG task force found extremely low vacancy rates, astronomically high average rent for students who live off campus, and also that the student minimum wage for campus jobs, if you work the maximum 20 hours per week, barely exceeds the average student rent, and that being the case for myself as well. Even working a campus job that pays several dollars more per hour than the campus minimum. So I think this is great legislation. I would also just like to add that I think the majority of this falls on the city of Iowa City. As we know that students who live closer to campus are more involved, are more likely to be successful, and have better student outcomes than students who live several miles off campus, and it's also more sustainable in terms of transportation. So I think this is really great legislation.
Is there any further discussion?
Senator Saab.
Hello, my name is Michael Zhao. I'm an at-large senator of UISG. I understand there's a lot of students living in the campus that can't afford the house. But my question is, if you want to provide a more affordable house, where does money come from? For example, this legislature said we're going to have a more affordable health care in Carville and North Liberty. But do you think the government will sponsor those real estate industry to provide the affordable health care, or the schools will sponsor to those real estate companies to provide the health? Because if no sponsors, I don't think those real estate companies will lower the cost. So I just want to know what's the solution about this. Thank you.
Well, I have responses to that question.
I can just comment on that. Right now, I live in Iowa City. I live in a house that has 5 bedrooms, but due to occupancy limits, there can only be 3 people in that house. So I think a partial solution, at least right now, is to work with local governments to modify some of those occupancy limits, and I believe that that would be a low-cost solution.
The previous question has been called. Is there a second? Second.
All right, we'll now vote in discussion on JR2. All those in favor of any discussion on JR2, please signify your vote by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Are there any abstentions? The ayes have it. We'll now move on to a period of voting. All in favor of JR2, please signify your vote by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. JR2 passes.
We will now move on to our next action of new business, Joint Resolution 3, supporting Title IX protections in the 2011 Dear Colleague letter in regards to sexual assault. Is there an offer present?
Hello, everybody. Once again, I'm Heath Schindler. I'm an at-large senator for the University of Iowa Student Government, or UISG. I currently serve on the Government Relations Committee and Health and Safety.
I'm Elaine Busalis. I'm a third-year dental student at the University of Iowa College of Dentistry. I'm the GPSG delegate, and additionally, I'm on the safety committee.
So our resolution that we're bringing forward today, we bring on behalf of not only ourselves, but also Kimberly DePalma, Cameron Cooper here, Mustafa, and Ellie Lenz, and countless others that helped out with this resolution. We understand that sexual assault is a difficult topic to speak about. We also understand that it's a problem not only on our own campus, but on campuses nationwide. And the previous presidential administration also realized this was an issue. And as such, they initiated what was known as the Dear Colleague letter. This was a form of guidance in 2011 that basically gave stricter guidelines on how universities were to handle reports of sexual assault or sexual misconduct on their campuses. The University of Iowa has been proactive in this effort. Long before some of the requirements were laid out in the Dear Colleague letter, our university took steps to actively prevent sexual assault, sexual misconduct on our own campus. However, we are fearful that with some of the comments made by the current Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, that there could be potentially some rollbacks or even restrictions on some of the progressive measures that the University of Iowa and similar institutions have made. As such, we have drafted this piece of legislation here to stand and resolve with the Dear Colleague letter and other guidance provisions on Title IX.
For those of you who don't know exactly what Title IX is, I wasn't too familiar with it until I became a part of the safety committee, but essentially it's a federal civil rights law prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sex in any educational program that's receiving federal funding. And as a member of GPSG's safety committee, sexual harassment and misconduct is an issue that is currently going on campus and one of our initiatives for this upcoming year. So this sexual harassment and misconduct comes in conflict with Title IX when the issue becomes so pervasive that it bars any student from accessing educational opportunities from the trauma or the event itself. So essentially we ask for the continued support from the University of Iowa to adopt and take actions and policies to promote safety on campus for all students, whether they're professional, graduate, undergraduate, and additionally faculty and staff. And then we ask that they provide resources that are understandable and available to all students regarding these issues.
Are there any questions for the authors? Seeing as there are no questions, we will now move into a period of discussion on JR3. Senator Cooper.
Hello, my name is Cameron Cooper. I'm an at-large senator on Jenna's Government Relations Committee. Tonight, I am standing to place my strong support behind this resolution to be sent to Betsy DeVos from her Department of Education. In my years here at Iowa, I have witnessed firsthand the devastating effects that sexual violence can have on our students, friends, and community. After spending some time with these guidelines found in the Dear Colleague letter,
it becomes easily clear that they were crafted to ease the pain and confusion for survivors and to ensure that their environment is safe for them to learn and live in. The guidelines set in place by this document, in my eyes, are non-negotiable. As I ran for this position as an independent senator, one of the pillars of my platform is making our campus safer for all students, including survivors of sexual assault. Today, I will do my best to make good on that promise, and I will use my voice to support guidelines that have done tremendous work to support and lift up survivors and to make our campus a safer place. I believe that should these guidelines be rescinded or changed, our campus will be at risk of taking major steps back and will ultimately be a less safe environment for many of our students. Due to these factors, tonight I ask that you also use your voice to vote in favor of this resolution to let Secretary DeVos know where we as a unified student government stand on this issue.
Any further, Senator Hastings?
Yes, I'm Scott Hastings, at-large senator for UISG. This is an issue which I think is incredibly important across America. Obviously, no one out here is going to be supporting rape. It's obviously a very heinous crime. But I think it is important to consider with this sort of resolution we're about to be passing. I think that a lot of what is come about in this country has been really charged political atmosphere. And a lot of times what we see in the media is the other side being depicted as completely evil. And I just want to throw out there that I don't think that the Trump administration of Betsy DeVos has actually proposed this because they support rape in any way. They absolutely stand with victims. The reason that this rollback is even being discussed, which hasn't even occurred yet, the rollback has not occurred yet, it's being discussed, is because right now, the 2011 Dear Colleagues letter actually calls for universities to go outside of regular judiciary process. The thing is, in a private institution, you can fire someone for about anything you want, or a private college has a lot more say in what they can do with their punitive measures. But the thing is, this is a state university, and that's what the Department of Education is talking about, is state-run colleges. And so the thing is, in America right now, if you were to be accused of rape, you would have to be found beyond any reasonable doubt to be found guilty in a criminal court. There is not a single criminal prosecution that you can go through where you don't have to be found further or less than or any reasonable doubt. And the thing is, the Dear Colleagues letter actually lowers the burden of proof to a preponderance of the evidence, which for those of you who are unfamiliar with that term, preponderance of the evidence is basically like a 50-50 sort of thing, where if you have 51% of the evidence shows one thing, then you have to convict. Whereas the burden of proof for any other criminal case would be beyond a reasonable doubt, which would be somewhere in the upper 90% confidence interval. So the thing is, this is the only crime in America, where you can actually be convicted of it. Like, mind you, this is not a criminal court, this is a university, where it's a preponderance of the evidence. The thing is, a person on this campus right now could be accused of raping a student, and they could go to a criminal court, be found not guilty, acquitted, and yet get kicked out of the university because of the differing standards. The other thing that the 2011 Dear Colleague letter does is it allows appeals with this process. There's actually, you can't appeal criminal cases either. If you are on the prosecution, if the prosecution loses, it cannot appeal in a criminal court unless it's some sort of dismissal after a guilty verdict or a special case like that. And yet, the 2011 Dear Colleagues letter again proposes we do things that's entirely outside the realm of the law. I'm not in any way, shape, or form pro-rape. I want everyone, people who is guilty of rape, to be convicted guilty of rape. But the thing is, what this letter does, the 2011 Dear Colleague letter, is it lowers the standards, and especially in a state school, the thing is that can't be done, and this is outside the law. So regardless of your political leanings, I hope that you actually vote no for this resolution.
I would like to
bring up a couple of statistics that I believe are very relevant to the proposal at hand. First of all, crimes of sexual violence in the United States, specifically on university campuses, have a gross rate of impunity. What that means is that for every 1,000 cases of sexual violence that are brought to a university or court, about 6 result in a conviction in which the guilty person goes to jail and serves time. That's 6 in every 1,000. That type of impunity needs action. It needs policies in place to protect students, to protect victims of sexual crimes on campuses. And when it comes down to it, the current systems in place have not done enough. In addition, I believe that the last statistic that came out found that for crimes of sexual violence, similar to all other types of crimes, they found that only about 3% are false accusations. And I want to make clear that it is a myth to say that crimes of sexual violence are often or even more likely than other crimes to be false accusations.
Again, my name is Ryan Shelley. I'm a student at the College of Law. Listening to some of these comments, I think it's important to note that when we're talking about burdens of proof, when we're talking about beyond a reasonable doubt, these are things that beyond a reasonable doubt is the highest standard in our legal system, because going to jail and being convicted of a crime is a deprivation unlike any other. It's important to note that losing your ability to attend even a public school is not the same thing as going to jail. Your liberty and interests at stake are much less. And although it is important to continue attending school, by preponderance of the evidence is what we use in every civil trial. And people are convicted in civil trials every day. So this is not, I'm concerned, the at-large senator's comments are well taken. These are concerns that I have as well amidst our political climate. That being said, it's important not to make false equivalence about going to jail for a crime and not being able to attend school or facing some type of punishment for something like sexual assault on campus. A lot of statistics out there will tell you that a number of sexual assaults go unreported entirely. That doesn't mean they didn't happen. That doesn't mean there aren't people who are guilty for perpetrating it. It is our university's job to take care of these issues even when the criminal system doesn't. In stating that our public institution, simply by being a public institution, has to abide by a standard like beyond a reasonable doubt is disingenuous. That's not how the law works. So while I understand the concerns, I support this resolution because this is a serious matter, and we need to come together as a student body and as a university to address even where the legal system fails us, because it's not always a just system.
I have a question pertaining to this. Excuse me? Oh, sure. I have a question pertaining to this entire discussion. If they were to roll back the Dear Colleague letter, what would be put in place? Is there something going to be put in place? Is something on the table to be put in place? Or is it just being rolled back and then less than what was currently at stake? I want to know, does anyone have information on that before we pass?
Currently, so far, this is all a reaction to a speech that Betsy DeVos gave in Texas, where basically she said, we're going to look at rolling back these things. So far, it sounds like they're pretty sure about that. But they also said that they're looking right now at replacing it with something else. We don't know what's going to be replaced with. In fact, that was one of the things in her speech. She actually called for people to be speaking up and giving input for what they think the new sort of standard should be. So we can't really speculate on what it's going to be replaced with, but supposedly it will be replaced with something.
Senator Schumer?
I move to call through this question.
Is there a second? Seconded by me. All those in favor of any discussion on JR1, please signify your vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Are there any abstentions? The ayes have it. We will now move into a period of voting on JR3. All those in favor of JR3, please signify your vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? The ayes have it and JR3 passes. Seeing as there is no further business, we will now take a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Bowman, is there a second? A lot of senators. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. There will be a reception downstairs with snacks and refreshments. Before you go down, I would just like to thank everyone for coming. Before you go downstairs, I would like to thank everyone for coming. As we discussed a lot tonight, there is such an importance with shared governance and coming together to collaborate on these important issues. Thank you to everyone who came. Thank you to everyone who wrote legislation and to everyone who made comments. So have a good rest of your night.